Hi everyone, this is Anabrese. I'm a spiritual well-being mentor and energy intuitive and author. Welcome to my channel. I've just recently started getting back to videos. I've taken a long break and I'm feeling the call to come back and just share some of the things that I've been, I guess, integrating. We've all been integrating lots of new energies over the last year or so. It's a constant thing. And we have the new moon eclipse coming up tomorrow as well. So there's, lots of things happening all the time as we move into this greater expansion of consciousness as the vibration on the planet shifts and we open our hearts more and come more into the heart space of unity, consciousness, connection, and unconditional love. So I wanted to do this little video here. It's just really an evolutionary exploration on relationships because we are moving into different times and our relationships are really undergoing a very important transformation at this time from a more sort of 3D person-centered way of being in relationship versus what we're moving into is more sort of conscious relationship where we're having to learn kind of new skills in a way to interact with one another and to really face a lot of the old programming, the old paradigms, the old conditioning that we've been um, programmed with and that we've learned from our parents and from our society. So if we're moving into this place of unconditional love, it kind of brings with it a whole new way of learning to be in intimate relationship. And one of the big things with that as well is the transformation or transmutation of sexual energy into a more kind of sacred sexuality where we're kind of coming into union within ourselves, the masculine and feminine energies, and merging as a whole being, but then also interacting with someone else who's in that same process or in that wholeness. So it's how we relate to one another in that new place of wholeness within ourselves, with this integration of masculine and feminine, or what we've considered to be labeled as masculine and feminine, but really is the kind of balancing act of yin and yang and contraction, expansion, projection, passivity, all those energies coming together to create, the dynamism that we have as human beings. So that was just a brief overview. So I've got this board here, and I'm sorry that you can't really see it fully. What I'm thinking of doing is just typing all the notes out. This is really for me, which was just bullet points really so that I could do this teaching video. And but I will write it out and put it on my website. I'm in the process of probably changing the website name to just anabrese.com, but for the time being, it might still be thisgoodfeeling.com. And you'll see that there will be a redirecting URL if that needs to be the case. So anyway, just want to get straight into this. So this is just me sharing a lot of the things that I've been sort of processing around relationship over the last probably the last couple of years. It's kind of been ongoing, and so it's based around the new paradigm of relationships and really what the purpose is of relationship. And even that word relationship, is kind of like we've got to look at that as well. What does it really mean? But it's really how we relate to one another, and our relationship first and foremostly with ourselves. I don't know if I said that right, but it's foremostly with ourselves and how we view and see ourselves in the world, and also how we are connecting with our own alignment, our own vibrational alignment and resonance with source, or the creator, whatever you want to call that. But basically where you feel most in alignment with who you are as a being, and where you feel the most joy, the most passion, and the most authentic, just where you can completely be who you are and express that in this world. Sorry, I thought that was the postman. So anyway, we're moving on to this. So new paradigm relationships and their purpose. And I've got as the first one, know why you're together. So it's very important to know why you're together, because in the past, people came together because, you know, they fell in love, and, you know, quite rightly, beautiful thing to fall in love. But a lot of it was based around kind of like, you know, the benefits, the mutual benefits as well that you brought to the table. And, you know, a lot of it was around security of home, family life, you know, assets, having things, material items like cars and houses, jobs, things like that. But what these do is create restraints. They can create restraints, you know, where we're with that person, and a lot of it's based on security, and legal agreements can come into that as well, such as marriage. So a lot of people wanted to get married because it made them feel safe. It made them feel like, you know, this is mine. This is something that belongs to me. So there was a kind of ownership thing in past relationships as well, which is something that we're trying, you know, endeavoring to transcend, because, you know, we don't own anybody. So what you could have is a dynamic where maybe one person is more dominant than the other, and so there would be this kind of codependent dynamic going on as well, where one, you know, so you clearly knew your role in that relationship, you know, or you felt maybe after the honeymoon period and after a few years of into the relationship, you might notice that the dynamics are a little bit off, or you're feeling like you're not really getting to express the fullness of who you are because that person's quite dominant, or, you know, so the dynamic plays out according to, a lot of the time, how your parents related to one another. So you will kind of mirror that, or carry that lineage on, you know, so you kind of begin to behave a little bit like your parents. So you might see yourself attracting someone that kind of reminds you of your father, or has certain qualities or characteristics that are dominant of either the father or the mother, and then you will play the other parent in your parent in your dynamic with your partner. So this is how it goes on, and then it gets passed down to the children as well. So the children are learning from their parents and watching how to behave. They're learning certain behaviors associated with male and female as well. So we have this kind of division happening, where you're learning certain behaviors of what's expected of a woman or what's expected of a man, and so we pick up this programming in our society through our parents. So basically, yeah, a lot of these things that were based on security and marriages, you know, eventually can seem as a kind of restriction on freedom and your ability to really express, you know, who you came here to be. So the purpose of being together is for growth, evolution, conscious expansion, awakening, and learning. It's, you know, and the romance is great and everything, but you're growing through the lessons that you're learning in relationship with this person, because you're learning about the dynamic, you're learning about who you are in relation to this person. And so yeah, it's about growth. I have to say, I am being affected by the new moon eclipse energies today, so just bear with me. And I don't want to like make this video really long and kind of too over the top, so I might actually cut it and do a part 2. So why did you come together? Law of attraction brought you together. So it was the resonance at the timeline, the particular timeline that you met. So this is very, very important, because you came together because of the law of attraction at that specific time. So who you were at that time and who they were at that time, there was a resonance. And as time progresses and you both grow and expand within the relationship, within the dynamic, and learning from one another and expanding consciousness, you're at a different place and they're at a different place. And it's not that you're growing apart, but it can be that what you've integrated from the relationship and the growth that's happened and the expansion that's happened could be that, you know, at some point within that relationship it could be completed. But what happens is that we continue because of fear of, you know, losing this, and also just, you know, safety. You get used to it, you get used to, you know, having this particular relationship in this particular way, and so it becomes a habit. And it's, you know, it's difficult. Change is a difficult thing, you know, because it's it it makes us come out of our comfort zone, so we can get comfortable in a situation where, you know, there's a routine in place. And when that routine is in place, so routine can keep you kind of stuck in a way, if it's based around this security and of assets as well, home and mortgages and things like that. So at the time you met, there was a resonance in thoughts, beliefs, and vibration. So there was somehow on a vibrational level you were matching each other. And karmic lessons as you mirror one another's concepts and beliefs. So basically, you're there to stimulate within one another these thoughts and beliefs and vibrations to learn certain lessons. So you come together to learn certain karmic lessons. So even if you don't get married, which is a contract, there are these kind of unforeseen or unspoken contracts that are kind of like the soul's contract. So before you came into this incarnation, there was going to be this meeting of, you know, the souls that were there to help each other's growth and evolution. So for the purpose of, at this time in our history, we're coming together for the purposes of overcoming the program beliefs and patterning that can come up through triggering. So if you say something that upsets your partner, and they've got a strong belief that they're right, or that, you know, this is true for them, and you trigger that in them, then they have a choice whether to face that and examine it, which is self-inquiring, which is the consciousness path, or to defend it. And this is what happens in most cases. If a couple are not in agreement beforehand about really why they're together, so we're back to like purpose, you know, purpose of being together, knowing why you're together. And if you don't know that it's for your growth, and if you don't know that it's for conscious expansion, and you've never heard these words before, then you can get into all sorts of, you know, trouble, you know, arguments and things, because you don't understand the process of the stuff's meant to come up. You're meant to be upset at certain times. You know, you're meant to feel like shit, you know, because somebody said something that pushed a button that touched a nerve, you know, because a nerve that, you know, was related to a past belief or a past programming concept. So it's meant to happen. And if you know that it's meant to happen, then when it does come up, you can both be conscious and there with it and present with it, and then actually work to get to the root cause of it and understand where that belief came from, and, you know, basically transcend it and bring it into the light. So it's really about uncovering the unseen and the program, the subconscious beliefs and programs, bringing them into the light of consciousness so that they can be transformed and transmuted, that can keep you together, that can increase the love connection. So, and also expands this idea of unconditional love. So you're not judging that partner. And a lot of the time in relationship, we're afraid to say, you know, expose some of those beliefs and things, or things that have happened in the past or whatever. because afraid of being judged. But if we know that we're with each other to learn from these lessons that come up, and also that we're both in a place of, I love you no matter what, and the marriage contract is, through sickness and health, through rich or poor, blah, blah, blah. But, these are kind of like, I feel for the new relationship paradigms, when you come together with someone, it could be quite good to actually get all this out in the open sooner, rather than later. So it's like you can kind of say, well, this is how I see relationships. We, discuss a little bit more in detail what your um, what your feelings are around the purpose of being together with someone, and having that kind of open discussion before you start triggering each other, basically. So it's a good thing to have in place, and then that when stuff comes up, you're kind of a little bit more prepared. So yeah, so this brings us to problem solving together. The purpose of being together, to do your problem solving together via self-inquiry and truth investigation, and allowing the higher consciousness alignment. How does the higher consciousness see this? How does source see this? So it's really tuning into their own connection with source, and you know having the space to do that, and knowing that they are like the one infinite creator in form, and that ultimately there is no wrong, there's no judgment, because again, unconditional love. So there's unconditional love here, because I see in you the creator, and you see in me the creator, and we know that we're one. That there is no separation, because that's ego. So there is only unity consciousness, and therefore, we're accepting this path of self-responsibility, to take responsibility for the triggers that come up in me, because it'll quite often be one person triggered, and I mean, it can be two at the same time, but usually it's probably one, at a time, maybe. It can happen both. But anyway, it's taking self-responsibility and not blaming the other. So it's very important that it's never about the other person. It's never you're to blame, or you did this, or you did that. So conscious relating or conscious partnership is about taking full responsibility for what comes up within me, within the context of this relationship. What is it that you said that, or why did what you say cause a reaction or sense in me, or feeling that came up that was uncomfortable? So what was it? Where did that discomfort come from? And it's not, as I say, they were the catalyst. So we're becoming catalysts for one another's growth and evolution. So it's like, you can't blame the other person for being there, because they're there to mirror and help you evolve. And if you can really wake up every day with that sense of gratitude, that that person is there to help you evolve, to help you see more about yourself, then that's a really positive thing for you as well. So, and another thing I wanted to go over was time. So another thing or concept that we have is this linear linear time, and the time that we need to spend together in relationship. We consider that, oh, if we only stay with someone for 6 months, oh my goodness, it's a failure because it only lasted 6 months. And how long have you been with this person? There's a lot of judgment around time. But also, so it's just getting kind of rid of this a little bit, because we're multi-dimensional beings, so there really is no linear time as such. It's part of the illusion. So we could be with someone for the short term or long term. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that there is the exchange of light codes and activations, and that we are catalysts for one another's soul's evolutionary path, and therefore the completion of karmic lessons. So again, it's that contract to come together for the purposes of that. Now that could last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, 60 years. It doesn't really matter. So it's for the completion of karmic lessons. And I think this is why sometimes a lot of people just get this kind of stalemate after a certain amount of time. And it's not that they don't love the person anymore or whatever, but it could just be that, you know, basically the job's been done. You know, it's like the soul's evolution has been completed with that mirror, with that catalyst. And so it can get to a point where there's just, it feels like there's just no more growth. You know, there's no more, yeah, just no more growth. So I think in the past, you know, people would have stayed together and just kind of carried on in that mediocrity. But now we're realizing that no, you know, life is about passion. Life is about the next phase of expansion and multidimensional, you know, experience and existence on this plane. So it's like, so once we understand that we're together for the completion of karmic lessons, and that once that's done, you know, it could be time to move on, or it might not be, or it could turn into an open relationship. So there are many different types of ways of being. And again, I feel like we're moving into that time, or, you know, saying there's no time, but we're moving into an era of getting rid of, you know, these labels and these structures around, you know, what a relationship should be, what it shouldn't be. You know, we could have different dynamics going on. We could have, I mean, a polyamory, or we could have monogamy, and then, you know, we could have families blending. So different things, you know, can evolve. We can have friendships that are based on unconditional love and sacred sexuality, and that, you know, only meet up once a month. You know, there's all sorts of infinite possibilities. And again, I feel that it's up to the two individuals to decide. It's up to them to decide, what is our relationship? What is it? What do we want? What do each of us want it to be like? What would feel the most freeing, expansive form of interacting together in this relationship? So you decide, you get to decide. You're an infinite creator. You get to make those choices. And again, yes, so it's like coming together for, you know, it could be exchanging some, at some deep level. We've got DNA in our systems, codes, activations going on. And especially if any of you relate to the kind of twin flame journey, soulmates, that kind of thing. So the twin flame scenario is based around, you know, coming together for the purposes of these activations and the soul's conscious evolution. So I think I've just about covered everything. Yeah, so fear of change keeps you stuck even when the purpose has been fulfilled. So it can be fear that just keeps people stuck and not willing to move on when this has been done, okay, and you're ready for the next growth phase. And so what keeps people stuck is just the attachment and, you know, fear of hurting someone and all that kind of thing. But, you know, again, you know, you do things with compassion, you take action with compassion, and always with the highest intent and responsibility for everyone's highest good. You know, so it's not about just, you know, getting, you know, just leaving. It's about staying in integrity, you know, with source and your highest guidance. So always listen to your inner guidance about what action to take if you're feeling like there's action to be taken. So yeah, if you do the inner work, so the result, so the good news is the outcome of all this hard work that you've been doing, and some of you could have been doing this for like 20, 30 years already, you know, I know I have, you know, and it's like most of this went on in a long-term partnership for about 20 years. So, you know, this is a process that can happen over, you know, a long period of time, what we consider time. So, but the outcome is unconditional love, unity consciousness, and self-transcendence and liberation. So it really is about freedom. You know, it's all about freedom of the self. You know, not basically being free, liberated from the self, being from the ego, and feeling like there's nothing left in the laundry basket, you know, to clear out. It's like, you know, you've done all the work, and then you're free, and then you're free to really, um, you know, live your highest calling and service for the planet as well. So it's, you know, about integrating these lessons so that you can then share, you know, what you've learned and pass on, you know, um, all those lessons and teachings and things like that. And just being, you know, the highest version of you, who you came here to be, without restrictions. So quite often, I think in partnerships, sometimes people can be held back, you know, from really fulfilling the role. And that's another thing that's just coming through for me, is that needs to be said, is just this idea of, you know, even in partnership, is just respecting that, you know, at all times, that other beings tuning into their highest calling, and this one is tuning into their highest calling, and that you're both honoring that as well. So it's like if someone needs to go and travel somewhere, then the other person's not going, oh, but what about me? You know, you know, it's like, I want for you, you know, what's highest and best for you. So it's always coming from that place of unconditional love, of the awareness and appreciation of that individual's path and purpose and life's calling. So that just felt like another aspect that came through there. And I think that's just about it. So I'm just going to leave it there for now. And if there's anything that really stood out that, you know, you feel like you'd like another video on, um, because that was quite a lot of different things covered there, but each item could be gone into detail on its own, really. But I just wanted to do this video because I've had this board sitting for quite a while. So I hope you enjoyed, and if you are feeling like you would like some support or personal mentoring, my details are down below the video description. I am available for one-to-one mentoring at this time via Zoom. So if you're interested in that for support, I'm also available for twin flame journey support and kind of what the conscious relationship entails. So all the details are on my website. There's quite a list of different aspects and areas that I'm able to cover and help offer support on. So thank you very much for watching, and if you like this video, please like it and subscribe and share it with anyone you think that might be interested. So bye for now.